former conservatives, which are rare, but this is totally fake in my opinion. You have people, well, like Hunter Avalon is a good example, like, oh no, I was so wrong, I can't believe I believed those things. And then they say, see, now you can tell us, and then they use that as an expert testimony of why I believe the things I did. The problem with the left is that they're just factually wrong about everything. You know, so you're in trouble if you're a media personality on the left, because you're like, you could literally Google search the story and go, whoa, he was from El Salvador? What is this document? He admitted he came illegally, and he admitted he was removable. He's not a Maryland man. Gonna lie anyway, otherwise I'll lose my followers.
Okay, this is a big leap, and we don't need to go into this, but on the right, I feel like that version of that, where they're like, I saw it on TV, therefore it's real, I'm gonna regurgitate, is like, I read it in a 2,000-year-old document, I'm gonna regurgitate it if it's real. Well, how can
What are you talking about?
The Bible, the Christian Bible. How can you verify the authenticity of that? I can't.
You can't.
No one can. Because it's 2,000-year-old text. No one can. It's not like if CNN came
on,
you're
conflating some very different things.
I'm like, how can I verify it?
You're conflating some very different things, because the fact is, the right isn't just Christian, and
exactly.
There's agnostics. So when we're talking about the left and their adherence to an orthodoxy which is false, and then you bring up Christianity specifically, it just sounds like you're insulting Christians.
No. Anybody that believes faith without evidence is like, I think, is a problem.
But you see, you're entering seventh grade.
Oh, you have blind faith. You have actual evidential faith. You have all sorts of different types of.
You were asking
blind faith is a problem.
And you were asking like a 16-year-old's introduction to philosophy question about what is to know.
I'm sorry. What? No. What?
Yeah, I brought my Bible.
When you're an adolescent human being studying basic concepts of philosophy, one of the first things you ask, or you are asked, is, what is knowledge? How do you know what you know? And then you learn the famous quote, the only thing that I know is that I know nothing. So when you say to people, why do you just believe in the Bible? The same question is asked to you. What makes you think oxygen is real? You read it in a book and you just believe it. You're believing things without doing investigation or checking the evidence.
Take the scientific method over a 2,000-year-old book.
When have you
also take the scientific method over something CNN tells me.
When have you done it?
Done what?
When have you actually looked through an electron microscope to check to see if there's oxygen?
I'd love to do that.
You'd love to, but you haven't, right?
Ozone, dude. It's 3 O's.
Have you ever?
It's the only element with its own zone.
Ian, have you ever looked through an electron microscope at a one-dimensional?
I've never looked through an electron microscope.
So then how do you know graphene's real?
I trust the scientific method. That's my faith.
No, you don't.
My faith in evidence.
You've never done the scientific
proof.
method.
You can say it's proof.
When have you proved it?
I haven't. The scientific community before
Who's
me.
That?
Richard Feynman. Who else? I mean,
so you
thousands and thousands of people have claimed evidence of oxygen's existence.
And you've seen it.
I've listened to the evidence from people that have done the research for.
I've listened to the evidence from people who said that Jesus walked on water.
The evidence from the people, they said they read it in a book that it happened. That's like saying the evidence from the people
that
CNN saying that it happened.
No, I met someone who said they had a vision. God told them it happened.
Okay, if a guy said he had a vision of something on CNN, I still wouldn't believe him.
You are choosing to believe people who haven't shown you any evidence.
No, the opposite. I do not believe things without evidence.
When have you seen the evidence of graphene? Never.
All over the internet.
Never seen it.
I mean, you want to...
Never seen it.
I have. That's evidence of graphene. When you look on papers and you read about it and you look at imagery of it online, like that's all evidence.
What do you think the Bible's made of?
Paper.
Yeah, and what's in the Bible? There's words. That's the same kind of evidence that you're talking about, giving you evidence for graphene.
Talking about the scientific method.
You did not do it.
No, I know. You don't need a scientist to believe in the scientific method.
And you don't need a Bible to believe in Jesus.
I require evidence, some evidence.
No, you don't.
Evidence-based, leading towards proof.
No, Ian, you don't.
You require proof. I cannot force myself to believe something I have no evidence for. It's impossible for me.
That's not true.
Or it's very, very, very difficult to snap that.
That's false. You know, I know. Because you've never done an experiment to prove the existence of graphene.
That's because there's scientists that do that work for us. You don't want every farmer to have to go look through an electron microscope.
Ian, there are priests who and bishops and cardinals who tell us about Jesus and Christianity.
They don't have electron microscopes.
Neither do you. And how do you know they do?
No, they don't.
They told me they had prophets.
Okay, fine. A guy told them.
And a guy told you.
Are you saying that this is actual evidence that you would do a journalistic endeavor with?
I'm saying, Ian.
Is that what you're saying?
You have never actually done any experiments, and what you believe is based on someone telling you, trust me, and you saying yes.
It's not random dude being like, hey, There's this thing, dude. Trust me. It's
Hope's
the
not around
scientific
either.
community, and called the
And the theologian
shitloads of
community.
scientific
Those are the
evidence.
same people
of these
that
things.
those are the same people that said that the COVID shot was going to work, right?
I don't know.
Or that lockdown
That's what I was
that
gonna
6
ask
feet
Ian.
to slow the spread, or that double masking makes sense.
That's not who I follow when I'm talking about graphene.
That's
not Anthony
okay,
Fauci.
okay.
No,
Let's just pause real quick. I'm just going to say this because there's no reason to go in circles over and over.
I didn't even want to bring it up to go too deep.
There's-
It's just that
no,
people that believe things without evidential proof is fucking annoying, man.
Like you.
You have to
Like
play
you.
both sides of reality.
Like you.
They can choose.
You are the
when.
perfect example of a person who believes whatever bullshit they heard from some
Totally
guy.
untrue, man. Why do you think I'm sitting here?
You've never seen graphene. You've never tested it. You've never looked at an electron microscope. You don't even know it's a single lab.
I've seen graphene. You bought it for me.
How do you know it's graphene?
Well, it said graphene on there. You told me it was graphene.
It was
looks
dirt.
like graphene.
I filled up a vial outside and wrote
Like
graphene on it.
sand. It looks like
It was
black
dirt.
sand.
I went outside, filled it up, and wrote graphene
Are
on it.
you lying?
I'm telling you the truth.
So are you gonna double down on a lie?
That
If you're
bottle,
lying right now, you discredited yourself, man.
that bottle that I bought, that was just dirt.
Well, if you're telling a lie, you're discrediting yourself in front of tens
Did
of
you
thousands
believe
of
it? Did you
people.
believe it was graphene?
Yeah.
Why?
Because you told me it was. It said
Well, I
graphene
lied.
oxide on the
I
side
lied.
or graphene on the
Some
side.
of the best content
I lied.
produces.
I mean, Tim,
And you just-
if you're claiming to be a research journalist and you're gonna lie and take things and believe things without evidence, I mean, you don't believe this shit. You told me
This
yourself you don't
shit.
Oh, my Bible shit.
That's
bro.
Nice.
It's
How
concept.
offensive!
Got my name on it.
Good lord, Ian, how dare you?
Like, dude, I'm just
dare you.
evidence-based, bro. I just,
You are not.
of course I am, dude.
Look, Ian. You lack the understanding of basic knowledge philosophy. I recommend you read these books. There is a famous quote: "The only thing I know is that I know nothing." For you to sit here and say, "I know what is true and factual," proves you have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, there are facts.
Like,
This is wood.
indeed, agreed.
How do you know?
Because I'm
Did you
here.
use an electron microscope?
Because I built it.
How do you know it was actual wood, though? Did you test it with an electron
Because
microscope?
I watched them.
No, you didn't. The answer is no. You
Yeah,
didn't. And
yeah.
you believe it's wood.
No, you're actually wrong.
It could be plastic.
I watched
It could
them
be some new chemical they built.
I watched them cut it. I
How do you
ordered
know
them to
it's
put it together.
wood?
Because I saw it come from the tree, Ian. This is a
Now, that's a
special.
fucking lie.
No, it isn't.
You saw this table come from a tree,
It's a custom
No,
table.
This is a custom built table.
you were told? By who?
No, they built it
Anyway,
in front of
we're
me.
being
It's-
hilariously
it's-
hyperbolic.
It's 3 pieces. They brought it in. They had to lift it up over and bring it through because it wouldn't fit through the door. So it had to go through it had to go through the roof. Or I'm sorry, it had to go through before the windows were put in. It was brought in 3 pieces. There's a metal frame underneath it. We had these pieces sitting in a building for a year waiting for the construction. I watched them cut the wood into the pieces. I picked up the sawdust and we threw it in a fire pit
How do you know it was sawdust, Tim?
because it burned.
Graphene burns too.
Ian,
How do you know it wasn't almost
you've
sawdust?
never done any experiment.
That's not true. I've
On
done
what?
experiments.
On what?
Oh God, I don't know. Dripped water on a piece of paper to see how it curls.
Okay. So
What other stuff? I don't know.
What
I have
you-
fun with life, experiment life.
what is limiting you in understanding reality right now is your arrogance.
No, I don't think so. I think I see a lot of dead
Okay.
people that are deadened in the mind that just accept things without evidence, and that's concerning me,
And that's-
no matter where it's coming from.
And I see that in you.
Well, how? What's an example of that?
Okay. Are you breathing?
Not like a silly,
let
not
me
a
ask
silly
you.
example. I'm talking about
Sure.
real
Okay.
stuff.
What are you breathing right now?
Talking about real
Lots of
stuff.
gas.
Talking about real.
What do you
Nitrogen
breathe?
and oxygen and hydrogen, you name
How do
it.
you know?
I have faith in the scientific community and the evidence that I've seen.
What evidence have you seen?
Papers, I've had teachers tell me the evidence, we've gone through it in books, I've looked online about it, I read about the nitrogen content in the air. 78% of it, I think, is nitrogen, according to modern science. on
So
Earth.
you've actually taken air and you've put
No, but I didn't get the electron microscope for the table or for the air.
So you've never actually done an experiment to verify any of the things you were told.
Well, that's an extreme statement, but about
Have you ever?
the contents of the air, no, I haven't done that.
So why do you believe it's true?
Because there's a
Because-
preponderance of evidence.
Because someone told you it was?
Many people have, yeah.
Okay. Well, there's more people who believe in Jesus.
I don't care how many.
Then why did you
Well,
say
let's
that?
say the quality and also the quality of the evidence.
What's the evidence?
Of what exactly? What's in the
Okay,
air?
Like what did you read that said oxygen was real? That proved it. That provided evidence.
The periodic table.
That's not evidence. That's a list.
It's a piece of evidence,
It's a list of things.
which is a piece of evidence.
How does that prove the existence of oxygen?
That, along with all sorts of other experiments where you can see the different colors of oxygen in with different lights. You can
How?
We can pull it up and go deep if you
No,
want to
no,
talk
no.
about if you're
You've seen
questioning
evidence.
science. Like
How many
let's look at it.
How many
But
evidence? Tell me the evidence.
I just told you.
convinced you.
I'm the farmer that believes the scientist in regards to this. I'm not the guy that did the experiment. There's enough people on Earth that do those experiments
Okay,
that we can have faith in science.
What will greatly help you expand your understanding of reality is to recognize you are simply choosing trust. That's it.
I think that's right. A lot of people, with belief, it comes with trust. You have to trust your sources.
When you do the fission experiments and the vacuum experiments, and you actually isolate nitrogen from oxygen and carbon, or you pull carbon from the atmosphere, and you said, I actually built a machine and tested against the gases and was able to extract the carbon into a vial using vacuum technology, then I might say, you've done the work. For now, what you're telling me is I read a bunch of books and they told me it was true, so I believe it.
Chemical vapor deposition, where you deposit like carbon dioxide onto copper in a vacuum.
Have you done it?
Oh, but they do it at Rice University. I mean, there's different ways to get graphene off of copper. You know?
Prophets commune with the Lord all the time.
Oh. Well, that's probably true, but that doesn't mean that this is verifiable evidence.
I didn't say it was. I said you are choosing what to believe based on the books you read and telling other people that they're wrong.
I wouldn't say that they're wrong. I'm just concerned with people believing things without evidential proof.
That is like the epitome of my ethos. The corporate press not doing any research, deciding things are true without checking, or intentionally lying to people to spread misinformation. And the fascinating thing to me is that we were told that double masking worked. We were told that 6 feet distance was how you effectively stop the spread of COVID. And then we learned just recently, actually not super recent, about a year or two ago, they made it up. It was totally made up. But how can that be? It was written in books. It was written in scientific papers. They published peer-reviewed journals.
They said it on the news.
Over and over and over again.
It was all bullshit, wasn't it?
Whoa. But they posted evidence.
And it was still bullshit.
But the evidence, Ian.
There wasn't enough.
But the papers, the evidence.
There wasn't enough evidence, man. I didn't believe it.
What do you mean?
I didn't believe 6 feet to slow the spread of a virus. Are you kidding me?
I'm not
think
saying,
a paper mask is going to stop a
I'm
virus?
not saying you believed it. I'm saying the scientific community and the evidence they presented was wrong. Cigarettes used to be recommended by doctors. The science proved it. Science evolves all the time. And I actually believe in science I would give more credence to science simply because I've actually done experiments myself. Indeed, I actually created a remote control green tea can. I built it. And I used gyroscopic stabilization and vibration to reduce the surface friction to 0 so that it could float across solid surfaces, and then use a gyroscopic stabilizer so that it could turn. And that video is actually on YouTube. You can watch it. So I actually tested these things and tried it out and said, wow, I was able to actually put together a radio transmitter that actually received it, and then the receiver received the signal, completing a circuit and causing a motor to spin. I've actually done this. So I look at these things and I say, yes, based on the experience I've done, I believe it's likely to be true and correct. However, never actually seen oxygen, never seen an atom, been told they exist. In fact, the photo of the black hole they took, not really a photo of a black hole. It's an amalgam of various EMF waves that they compiled together and then said, here's what we think it might look like through a CGI. And then they told everyone this is what a black hole looks like. I don't follow the Bible, nor do I believe that Jesus is the Son of God. I am not a Christian. I have no disdain for others who do. I simply just see things differently. But I would never be so arrogant to say, I know things other people don't, simply because some people are deaf, some people are blind. Some people can see things I can't see. Some people can hear things I can't hear. Women, some of them are tetrachromats. They can see more colors than I can. If a woman could see more colors than I could and asserted to me that there was a color on that skateboard, it's not just yellow, it's 2 colors, and I said, you're nuts, I can see it, it's yellow. She's actually right. She has a 4th rod and cone, and she can see colors I can't. But I'm just going to tell her she's wrong because I can't see it. The only thing that I know is that I know nothing. And that doesn't mean I literally don't know a thing. It means that for the most part, we are choosing who to trust, and then we are relying on that to build a foundation of what we hope to be true. Which is why when I talk about quantum physics, science, technology, and religion, I often say, if what we believe in science is true, then. However, for all we know, they're just lying, and computer screens are magic rocks they found in the earth, and they have no idea how they work. Considering that, you know, I've had friends who've actually built them, and I actually watched, after watching Dr. Stone, I watched a video of creating a fluorescent LED, what do they call it? In Dr. Stone, they take a beaker, and they put like phosphorus on it, and then they make a light that can go up and down and left and right to create a basic screen, and that's how they do a back projection screen. And then I watched a video on YouTube of how it was done, and I was like, oh wow, you actually can see the building blocks of these things. We do got to go to Super Chats.
Let me be very clear. I'm not claiming that people that are Christian are wrong. I'm not making that claim. I just don't believe things, and I hope that other people don't without evidence, evidential proof. That's all. I don't think people are wrong. I'm not saying it's wrong.
I would ask, what do you believe?
Well, a lot of stuff, but generally, like the existence of God, we could go on for an hour and a half about that.
Do you think that machine elves exist?
No, I don't know. No, not really. Not literally. Not that I know of.
We got to go to chats, though, and I got to read this ad. We got a great sponsor, my friends. It is Home Title Lock. My friends, you got to go to Home